In 2011, in a small town in Japan, a dog named Pochi reportedly returned to the same spot outside his owner's home every day for months after she died. Neighbors left food, some tried adopting him, but each morning he came back, waiting, as if expecting the familiar footsteps that never returned. Stories like this exist everywhere. A Labrador sleeping beside an empty hospital bed, a German shepherd refusing to leave its owner's grave, a rescue dog staring at the front door long after a family member has passed away. And if you've ever loved a dog, you've probably wondered something deeply uncomfortable. When dogs grieve, do they actually understand death? Or do they simply wait forever for someone who isn't coming back? Because if dogs understand death even a little, it may change the way we see the minds behind those familiar eyes. But first, what can dogs actually sense that we cannot? To understand whether dogs comprehend death, you first have to understand something extraordinary about dogs. They live in a sensory world almost completely different from yours. A dog's nose contains up to hundreds of millions of scent receptors. Humans have only a fraction of that. To a dog, smell isn't just information, it's memory, emotion, identity. Your dog doesn't simply recognize your face, it recognizes your unique chemical signature. The scent that tells it, you are here. And when death occurs, that signature changes rapidly. The body begins releasing new compounds, metabolism stops, familiar smells fade, unfamiliar ones emerge. Some trained dogs can even detect illnesses like cancer, seizures, or low blood sugar before humans notice anything unusual. There is growing evidence that dogs can sense biological changes associated with dying long before people do. Hospice workers have occasionally reported dogs behaving differently around terminal patients, becoming unusually attentive or refusing to leave their side. But smell is only part of the story. Dogs are masters of reading behavior. They watch your posture, your voice, your routine, even tiny changes in facial expression. Studies have shown dogs can distinguish human emotions from both facial cues and vocal tones. They notice when someone stops moving, stops speaking, stops responding. Imagine your entire world built around patterns. Every morning, breakfast, every evening, walks, every night, your human comes home. Then one day, the pattern breaks forever. A dog may not understand death the way humans do, but it almost certainly notices when life itself has changed. And that raises an even bigger question. How do dogs behave when someone they love never returns? Perhaps the most famous example is Hachiko. Every day in Tokyo, during the 1920s, Hachiko accompanied his owner, Professor Hidesaburo Ueno, to the train station. Every evening he returned to greet him. Then one day, Professor Ueno died unexpectedly at work. He never came home. But Hachiko didn't know that, or perhaps he knew something else. For nearly 10 years, Hachiko continued returning to the station, waiting. Rain, snow, summer heat, every day until his own death. Was that hope, habit, grief? No one knows. But Hachiko became a symbol of loyalty around the world, and he isn't alone. Veterinarians frequently describe surviving dogs showing behavioral changes after another pet or owner dies. Some eat less, sleep more, become anxious, search rooms repeatedly. Wait near doors. A study from Italy surveying pet owners found that many dogs exhibited grief-like behaviours after the death of another household dog. Changes included reduced play, increased fearfulness, and altered sleeping habits. Then there are the stories that feel almost impossible to explain. Dogs refusing to leave hospital beds. Dogs lying beside deceased companions. Dogs returning repeatedly to grave sites. Scientists caution that anecdotal stories are not proof, but the consistency of these reports across cultures and centuries is striking. Again and again, humans witness the same thing: a dog behaving as though something profoundly important has been lost. And perhaps that's the key word, lost. Because maybe dogs don't understand death as an abstract idea. Maybe they experience something else entirely. Absence. Permanent absence. And if that's true, is that really so different from human grief? Or does science draw a line between mourning and understanding? Here's where things become complicated. Humans possess something called mortality awareness, the understanding that all living things eventually die, including ourselves. This concept usually develops in children over several years. Death is not a simple idea. It involves permanence, universality, inevitability. And scientists aren't sure whether dogs possess these abstract concepts. There is currently no strong evidence that dogs understand death in the human sense. They likely don't contemplate mortality. They probably don't lie awake wondering whether life has meaning, at least as far as we know. But some researchers argue we may be asking the wrong question, because understanding doesn't have to look human. Consider this: many animals react differently to dead companions. Elephants touch bones. Certain primates carry deceased infants. Crows gather around dead members of their group. If emotional responses to death exist across species, perhaps dogs occupy their own place on that spectrum. Maybe dogs don't think, "My owner is dead." But perhaps they recognize something equally profound. The one I love is gone, and they are not coming back. That realization alone could be enough to produce grief. Not human grief, dog grief. Different, yet real. After all, love itself doesn't require language, attachment doesn't require philosophy, and heartbreak may not require an understanding of death. So perhaps the real mystery isn't whether dogs understand death. Perhaps it's whether we underestimate the emotional worlds of animals simply because they cannot describe them to us. And if dogs experience loss differently than humans, what exactly does their love look like? Maybe we ask whether dogs understand death because we're really asking something else. Did my dog know I loved them? Did they miss me? Did they understand why I disappeared? Science can't fully answer those questions, not yet. But after thousands of years living beside us, dogs have learned our voices, our routines, our emotions. They celebrate our return, comfort us when we cry, sit quietly beside us when words fail. Perhaps dogs do not understand death as an idea, but maybe they understand love so deeply that the absence of love leaves a wound. And maybe that's enough, Because when a dog waits by a door that never opens again, it tells us something extraordinary. Not about death, but about connection. A bond so powerful that even when one side disappears, the other keeps waiting. And perhaps the question was never, do dogs understand death? But rather, how deeply can another species love us? And are we only beginning to understand the answer?